Welcome back. Judging by the beginning of the video, I think you guys saw that this truck has gone under a huge change in the last, we'll say month specifically, because the 4 weeks have been super busy. I think what we'll do is we'll start here in the back and we'll just go through the whole thing. I think I've got some firsts that people don't have, and I think you're gonna like to see it. So let's get started. So, here it is. This is the BroncLanders that I envisioned when I waited so long to get one, and so we're almost there. There is one piece of the pie that's not here yet, and some people know what it is. If you've been following the channel, you know it's waiting. We're still waiting on. That'll be the biggest final change that we make. But I'll let you in on a little secret on what's still going on with the vehicle and what we're gonna do as far as finalizing the Overland build part of it. We'll start with here. You have to have a table. The best table on the market, in my opinion, is this. It's made out of stainless. It's all rolled. None of it's welded. And the reason why that's important is because overlanding, you're on corrugated roads and you're beating your rig up constantly. And I also wheel this thing. So generally when it comes to aluminum product and stuff like that, when they're welded, they will stress crack eventually. So the neat thing about the stainless is A, it's stronger, and B, it's rolled. And when it rolls, when they roll the bins like that, it will never crack in any of these. Marco from Overland X is the one that helped me secure this guy, and I've been super happy with it ever since I got it and put it in. The funny thing is, here in the shop, I actually use this table in the morning. It's kind of like my coffee making desk, and I get it all built as I'm going through emails and preparing for work for the day. And then we go on and do about our business. But anyway, that's where I wanted to start. The next big thing you're gonna see is that I haven't seen this anywhere else. This is an entire delete system for a two-door that I hand built. And we'll get you closer to look at it here in a second, but that's what I wanted. And the reason why that was so important is because this will eventually be removed, the soft top, and we'll be replacing it with an Ursa Minor. An Ursa Minor is a hard top, a built-in hard top that has a pop-up tint in it, all in one molded. And so it looks like the factory original hard top as far as profile, but it's got the obviously the piece that folds up where the actual bed is and the tent area is that you can pass through from here to there. So I wanted a deck system that I could hop down into, and if it was terrible weather, I could fold the bed back and have a whole open area. And it's almost 7 feet, guys, inside. So when that tent's popped and you flip back the bed sections, you've got about 7 foot of room inside. So if it's terrible weather, snowing, raining, you know, hailing, whatever, all I have to do is sit in this area right here in a chair and I can chill out. I can lay in my bed, chill out. But that's what I saw conceptually being, and irony is, matter of fact, I'm wearing this guy. Follow him if you don't. Check him out, and if you're into long time overlanding and stuff like that. 3.5 years ago, I came across this channel, and that's what made me think this is the hands down best way to do it. Then I got to see it in person when I began a friendship with Justin from Overland Productions, and seeing his rig and his build, it just solidified to me that that's the best way to do it. All encompassing one unit, no extra racks, no extra rooftop racks, no tent, none of that. It's all simple and it's all accessible from inside. And so that being said, that's what premised the build for the rest of this thing, right? So knowing that that was coming, when you're in that and it's popped, you can remove the interior last part of the sections of the bed so that you can stand up in your actual build or in the actual vehicle and everything's closed up. And so I just thought that was genius. And since then, the whole build to this was built around that. So that being said, that's where the actual platform came from. So let's jump in. So now that you can see a little more focal area on it, you can see kind of what's going on. Here in the foreground, along the back side of the trim in this Bronco, you'll see that there's a subsection right there that's a separate drawer. That separate drawer that comes out is where the factory jack is. And even being on 37s, I have a stubby pad that we use to put underneath the factory jack, and I can get up under the shock towers or shock feet and still get the truck up off with that. That's the reason I kept it. Okay, so now that you can see me in frame, this drawer right here houses the factory jack, and the reason why I wanted to use that factory jack is I still do use it. Even on 37s, I have a bump pad that I put underneath it and I can still use it. It mitigates having, even though I made that new jack, we'll call it the quick replacement to the death jack, a farmer's jack, which there's a video on it. You need to go check out my playlist. It's ingenious. I've got that in the toolbox. I still use the factory jack, so I needed to have this back here. Also, the trim and extra set of locks are for the, and you can see them right here as well, is for the fact that I'm 230 pounds. So when I step on this, I wanted to make sure it had extra strength built into it to support me getting in and out of it 100 times. For the most part, during summer months and when it's not super cold, the window, this will become a traditional window again, like on the back of a hardtop. And so the window will be open and this will be open. So most of the time when I'm going to the Ursa Minor, I'll be getting in through here. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to keep it in that manner. And so I just wanted to make it a little stronger than it was, because of how you kind of have to engineer this section area. There's not a lot of area to build the actual cubby cover to be strong enough without doing a little outside engineering and give it some rigidity from these two latches. Moving on, this is still going on 4 years now of hard camping and wheeling. The Mindy 54 liter refrigerator, it's got an app that goes to it. Even had an app 4 years ago. It works perfect, it's been perfect, and of course it had to come along with me. And the reason why I put it over here is because obviously I'll be cooking and preparing over here. So what I'll do is I'll go from here into the fridge, and it does have a slide, but into the fridge and then back over here to cooking. Now, let me move ya and I'll show you this guy. So you see a couple things going on right here. And the things you see going on are a 110 outlet. You'll see a small map light here in red. And obviously that's for just extra light while cooking in the winter or at dark. Excuse me, I said winter, in the summer because of bugs. But then this enclosure, inside of that is where my 5 kilowatt diesel heater will go. It's built all the way down to the subframe of the actual cab of this. It's all metal down there. I cleared everything away. There's about an 8.5 inch circumference down there that's away from anything that's combustible or that would get hot and burn. On top of that, when I do penetrate the actual metal for the exhaust pipe, I'll wrap it in some heat wrap. So we're covered there. Here I installed a couple extra USB ports, and it does have a battery monitor. I put battery monitors basically all over the vehicle just so I can monitor what we're doing at all times. When we do get the Ursa Minor, it'll have a 400 watt solar panel on top that will be cabled down into the house battery system. And then just past that is a Renogy switch for the actual inverter that turns on and brings this up to power. With that being said, the reason why I chose this is because I've been running them for a long time on Kong, the trailer I have. And if you guys have watched any of my stuff from previous videos, there's some links up above it. The build video for that's up above it. But it's a really capable off-road trailer. And I've been in minus 18 with that diesel heater. It's the original one that I bought. It's the Vevor, V-E-V-O-R, 5 kW. I've never had an issue. Two things real quick. If you're going to run one, I don't care what brand it is or what size it is. When you first turn it on, turn it all the way high. Let it run at least 5 minutes on high, blasting high. And you will learn to start smelling a difference when it's running clean. When it's running clean versus when it's got a little soot built up. So the reason why I tell you to do that is because you're going to keep that chamber clean. It's just like a diesel truck that we drive all the time. If you guys knew anything about EGR coolers and stuff like that for the Fords, they would get super clogged up because you really couldn't run them hard enough to clean it up. Well, with those you can. So when you first fire it up, I mean high, and let it run balls out for 5 minutes at least, and you'll notice the smell of it will go away. It'll become clean air. And that's just a little bit of the soot adding to the air that's coming in your cabin. Secondly, before you turn it off, If you're going to run it on low all night, make sure you get a smaller one. They make a 2.5 kW for a small space. That's able to run on low because it's running at a higher efficiency at a lower speed because it's a smaller motor. These bigger ones, 5 and 8Ks, if you run them low like that, they will build up CARM. So the first thing I do in the morning when I wake up is I crank it all the way up. And I'll let it burn while I make breakfast. I'll let it burn for 20 or 30 minutes. And it cleans it out. I have never had one issue. Never had one issue. And so if you're going to get to these, just remember that. Remember that they're finicky, but when you get into them and get them squared away, I have had 0 issues. And so just remember, you've got the burnout process. When you first fire it up, burn it out. And then before you shut it down for the following day, burn it out. Let's move on. So anyway, in the Ursa Minor, where these windows are on a Jeep or a Bronco, you have 3 options. You can have it slick-sided, you can have a window put back in it for this area, or each one of them becomes an inset where you can put Roto Pax. So I went with the inset windows. On this right side over here, where I fill up fuel, just regular gas for the Bronco, I'll put fuel in it, and then I'll be able to fill the gas Roto Pack right above it. And then on this side is where my diesel Roto Pack is going to be, which will be yellow. And I'm going to plumb that inside and directly to this with a petcock valve inside so that in summer months I can kill the petcock valve, drain a tank, and I don't have any fuel kind of just sitting in it for no reason. After that, that's just really the back. I did add some accessory lights, and I think you can see it. There's one there. There's one over there. And then there's one in the middle. And the reason why I did that is because, again, this will be my main cooking area for summer. The neat thing about it is I've connected them to the rock lights. So with the RGB multicolor controller, whatever I have running on the rock lights, I can run inside of here. Or I can just say, hey, I need additional light while I'm cooking, and I can go ahead and just change them to red or yellow or green to give me some light back here so I can cook. So I thought that was a neat thing. It'll really help because, you know, I'll eventually do things I don't like about the Bronco, and one of them, guess what it is, guys? You can't see bleep inside this thing at night anywhere unless you have a headlamp and a flashlight because the interior lighting is terrible, but who cares? So move on, let's go. Okay, so the reason why I'm showing you this angle is because I want to cover a couple things right now. So you can see that this is an entire tray platform, and then right at the front, you can see that there's a tie down. So the additional 2 cargo boxes that I'll carry, which again are going to be my clothes in one, which will house clothes, extra shoes, and then just random other toiletry items and such. I'll keep them in 2 bins, 2 large bins. And so what they'll do is they'll house up here, and then I can just strap them down. The reason why I wanted to do a seat delete is because, again, I needed more real estate for if I was in a situation where I couldn't get out for a day and a half. I didn't have to just lay up in the tent and be okay with that. Down here, once this is up and open, all the way back to this the back of this driver's seat, I'll be able to open, and it'll be well over 6 foot tall from here all the way to the back of the vehicle. So I'll actually be able to set a chair right here and set in a chair and relax. Maybe it's put a laptop on the cooler or the refrigerator and edit. Maybe it's read a book, maybe it's making my coffee and making food and soups and stuff in here. But all that being said, that's why I needed all the real estate I could use. And so I was willing to sacrifice the back seat because nobody's ever in it. It's always me and myself. Or if there is guys that run with us, they all have their own rigs. Very rarely does the girlfriend go, but she does occasionally, and that may change in the future. But that being said, this will be a long-term vehicle and a long trip capable vehicle. So this is the configuration it needed to be. This makes it kind of more like a troop carrier where you have more cargo space and less seating area. Now, it had to have 2 functions. It had to be big enough in this area to keep equipment and supplies in here and things that you don't normally use that often, but it also houses the internal house battery system. Now that internal battery system, I have lots of stuff wired to it. The extra 12 volt system I put in for the extra refrigerator ports and the extra USB ports, and of course the 12 volt light that's back there and the diesel heater, rock lights, all that stuff is wired to this system. And so inside of this enclosure, there's a Renogy 2000 watt inverter. There's a Renogy DC to DC with MPPT controller with Bluetooth. There's also 200 amp hour AGM batteries. I figure that's more than sufficient for what I would need. With a 400 watt panel and an inverter sensing controller, if the vehicle's running, it will charge the batteries. If it's not running, the solar will charge the batteries. And that should be more than sufficient enough to run my CPAP at night for multiple nights. I think the math I came up with was with the refrigerator, the heater, and my CPAP, it would run everything for 40 hours without starting the vehicle or having solar. So that's more than enough for me. In addition, when the vehicle's running, obviously I'll be charging drone batteries and cell phone batteries and laptop batteries and such. So that's why I needed the system to be what it was. Now, what the battery size that I needed, they didn't have in stock. So these will eventually be replaced with lithium ion batteries, and they'll both be 100 amp hour lithium ion batteries. So that'll give me an effective actual 200 watts or 200 amp hours of storage. Right now with the AGM, they're temperature controlled in this vehicle. The best I can probably get out of them is probably 80%, so 160 amp hours is what I'll have. And again, that'll be sufficient. So jumping into it, they're pretty easy to remove. Here's the dual batteries. Sorry about this. This is my main jacket for any kind of winter overlanding. And the reason why I keep that guy right there is because on my side, that's where it needs to be. When it gets cold, I hop out, open this guy up, and it's right there. Now this is really just kind of a quick draw. The MPP controller is right here. A good friend of mine bent some Lexan, clear Lexan, and put it over all the electronic controls, and I'll show you that here in a second. And the reason why is so that regardless of anything moving or shifting, nothing would come in contact with the two bus bars that I put down there for the connections. But let me do that, and then I'll jump over there and show you the rest. So I'm sure Brad would be proud of me. He's always screaming this. Make sure you guys carry it. And the funny thing is, I used it the last time I was out, and I used it here in the shop the other day when I almost cut the end of my finger off. Okay, so here's the inverter I was talking about. Here's the 2000 watt inverter. And you can see we put the vents on the back side, and this is that piece of Lexan I was talking. And the reason why we've been it this far is it sits on top. And what it does is it keeps anything, if I was ever to forget and kind of stuff some stuff in this area, it would fall back and be against those fans, the heat fans for this. And so I didn't want that to happen because I left some area for air to draw through here, and he thought that was an ingenious idea to keep this bent and above it. It's about 2 inches taller than the inverter, but keep all that area in where it has the ability to vent, pull air, and push air out of this so it doesn't overheat, while it can still pull in some air from between the consoles and stuff like that. But you can see that there's the positive buzz bar and the negative bus bar, and that just keeps everything secured and out of the way. And then of course here's that DC to DC Renogy unit. So it makes it nice. And see, my click chair's in here now. I haven't loaded anything because obviously I just finished this truck yesterday essentially, and so I'll start loading now for the King of Hammers. I leave out of here in 2 days, so I've got to load it, get it ready, and go. But anyway, this is a look at it, and this is why I felt like this was a necessity. I'll be able to load all my tools in this area. All my recovery goes in the outside box, that way it's taken care of, and it gets dirty or muddy, it can go in that box, and I don't care because it's aluminum, it won't rust, and it won't matter. But in here, this will be important things. In here, I'll also keep toiletries, I'll keep things things that I don't readily access all the time will be in here. And that way, they're just put away and I don't need to figure out another bin to have an accessory bin that we don't need. But that's what you're looking at, guys. We'll kind of give you a close-up. There's the stainless piece I was talking about transition-wise. And of course, then there's the rest of it. And you can see it's completely flat. It goes all the way to the console. So this side, on this side going this way, is actually long enough for me to sleep at almost 5'9", roughly 5'9". But if you were all the way up to about 6 foot, you could fit here. Here's the controls I was talking about. And that gives you a better understanding of what we've got going on here. It's a pretty neat little thing. And this is just a sailboat map reading light. That's it. Everything for the back tray is run into here. And I guess we'll just start up front next. How about that, guys? Okay. So I figure since we're right here, we'll talk about a couple things. These big, beautiful things right here. So I have a good friend of mine that I bounce everything back off of him, back and forth, and he's just really good about stuff like that. One of the things he's really good at is picking wheels and tires. And so we talked about this color, this eruption green. If you haven't seen it in person, you've got to go see one. It has shades of gold in it. It has shades of light green, lime green, dark green. It's just one of a kind color. It's insane. And so when you look for colors, everybody's got graphite, everybody's got gray, light gray, dark gray, gloss black, flat black, anodized blue, gold, copper, flat copper, and that just didn't do it for us. And we were talking and going through lots of stuff, and we came across these fuel coverts. These are fuel covert 17-inch bead locks. They are true bead locks, and I think they were perfect. They make this truck stand out like crazy. And BroncLanders, this was his name, needed to stand out because it's an incredible rig. I think Ford did an incredible job with these trucks. And so I really wanted that, like, eye appeal. And so this is what I thought was the combination. Nito has been perfect. They really have. Their tires are perfect. And I couldn't say any more about the combination. I think it was the best decision I made. Now, since we're here, we'll go ahead and talk about the lift and stuff that's on it. Right now, I did a zone off-road 2-inch strut spacer lift. It's got a perch for the strut, and then it's got a spacer lift to go on top. That netted exactly 2 inches, like they said. On top of that, we have an 1.5 inch body lift by Broncbuster, and it netted exactly what they said it was. And so just so you know, factory, with the factory tires, it was at, well, no, excuse me, before the 37. So after the 2-inch strut lift and after the 1.5 inch body lift, we were setting at 40 1/4 in front to here with the factory Sasquatch bead locks. Right here, that was 40 1/4. And in the back, it was 41. Once we put the 37s on, we went to 43 5/8 in the front, right here, and 43 1/4 in the back. So a significant gain, and it's made a difference because I do clear the 37s without rubbing. I did do the major cut up front, but for now, this is what we're doing for now. There's an Easter egg coming, and I've been talking to them quite a bit. It's Brenthal Industries, and they have a sub company that makes just radical long travel suspension, and that's what we're gonna do with it. Couple it with some crazy big king shocks, and that's what'll be the final product for this guy. But it's been ordered and it's just not here yet. So that's what we've done so far. As far as the ride and how it's acted since I've done what I've done this far, it's super good. It's just as good as stock. Nothing like that changed. And so if you're concerned about it, if you're wondering about it, if you're not gonna do a whole lot of big crawling and big stuff like that,
You fit 37s easily with this, and the neat thing about it is both of those packages weren't more than 500 bucks. I think together they were 500 bucks, so that's something to consider. And now you've got this thing, it's just ridiculous. So keep that in mind. If you're not gonna be doing a lot of crazy rock hauling and stuff like that, this is a perfect setup, and your Bronco will look fantastic for it. Okay, that's enough with wheels and tires. Let's move on to the back. So, this thing. This was a mad science project built off of Rockslide Engineering's Easy Rack system. And all they are is a couple plates with a heavy duty strap that goes around a spare tire. And the reason why I wanted to build up this platform is because I wanted it to be modular for any time I change tire sizes, or if any one of my friends wanted to make one for their rig, I would have something that would be modular for whatever tire they ran. So it needed to do a couple things. First of all, it needed to have a lightweight basket, a utility basket that I could put an aluminum box on. And the reason why I did that is because I talked to you guys before, is in this is my air up, air down tool, it's a bag. And then my bubble rope is in there, my snatch blocks, my soft cycles of shame, anything I use for recovery is in here. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because every time I use it, it's in a crappy situation. So everything's super muddy and dirty. The last thing I want to do is put it in a bag and then put it back in the truck. So now I'll throw it in this aluminum bag and I don't care what happens. And then when I get home, I'll pop this top and let it air out and then clean it out. It being aluminum. Next to that, it houses my agency 6 shovel. If you need it and when you need it, there's all these clamps that you have to get a pair of wrench and bust loose. I take these off with my hands and then the shovel's ready to go. When I put it back on, I just put it back on. And then max tracks, another thing. I don't want them in the vehicle because every time I get muddy and dirty, you hang them on the side of the vehicle, then all that crap runs down the side of your truck. That drives me crazy. Well, I've seen the max tracks ones and the trail tracks ones. Well, they happen to be right over the fuel door, so all that stuff running off this lands on your fuel door, goes in your fuel area, so it just, for my sense of being, it goes here. And the second reason is, when I'm washing this dude off, there is nothing that I have to worry about. I'll just come right back here and just blow these things off, and it all goes down here on the wheel and tire, and it's gone. You'll see in here that I have 2 sets of KCB2s. One's an amber set and one's a white set. The ambers also run in tandem with this right here. This is a whip that has a quick connect, and that quick connect has a DC connection for it, and it's a light whip for when you go to sand dunes and such like that. That way that you have visibility in the dark. Well, when I flip that switch, it's the last rocker switch on it. These power on it, so that's my chase lights. The second reason I built it in this fashion is I can still use the third brake light through here. You can still see it. And the reason why I think that's important is because when you're going through, we'll call it undulating, we'll call it rolling areas, they may lose track of you. Well, the neat thing about this being so high is that if they're going down and I'm going up, they'll get a glimpse of that light, at least know how far I am in front of them. That's another reason why I run chase lights really, really high. When they're on your bumper, they do no good, guys. Nobody can see them. Nobody. The thickest part of the dust, which they're made to cut through, is down here, right next to the truck. So get them up here where they can see them. And then, of course, one of my second complaints on a Bronco is their lack of reverse light visibility. They took their reverse lights and then fogged some of the area and cleared these. They're not good enough. So now I have these wired in. So these V2s, hey, when you put in reverse, everybody knows you're in reverse. Sometimes they think you're coming at them. But anyway, that's why I did that. This is secured down with some essentially custom-made heavy-duty straps that I made for it. And again, here's another quick connect right here for a 6-foot flag. Some places require it to be over 6 feet, even though my whip is, I think it's 3 feet long. So from here up 3 feet, it's, I mean, I don't know what that is. It's probably over 9 foot in the air. That's still not good enough for some places. So I have a quick collapsible, kind of like you've seen those, the the tent supports that close with themselves, and you can close them out like that with bungee in the middle. That's what it is. So I can put that on here, and then again, it's specifically 6 feet tall, so they can't complain about it. But this is something that I had to have, and the reason why I had to have it is because there's a lot of stuff I want out here that I never want in the vehicle, because it takes up useless space that you could use for something else. And all that dirty stuff needs to be out and away from the vehicle anyway. So I'll get you close so you can see it, but all of it is built in, wired, tied in, goes into the factory points. It's all quick disconnect, so they're all Deutsch connectors. So if you need to remove this, I can even remove it with this thing on it. It's not heavy. I would bet it's probably 75 pounds altogether as it's built right now. But basically what I do is unlock it from the bottom and walk it off from the back side. I turn this side here, and when I get it here, I'll pick up this edge, and then I'll just carry it and lay it down on something. So it's not bad at all. And then it goes back on pretty easy because the basket keeps it in form pretty much. With that being said, again, all the wiring connections are on Deutsch connectors, so when I need to take it off, their Deutsch connectors come loose, they're waterproof, it goes away, I get the spare tire off, put the other one back on, ratchet it back down, and you're back on your way again. For a spare tire carrier, what I did is so far I've gone with the Rough Country plate and HD extension, and the reason why I did that is because when I was putting it all together, it was something that you could get immediately, and even with the factory Sasquatch 35, I was having a lot of door flex and popping just under wheeling, regular wheeling. So I knew it had to be done immediately. So I went ahead and did that, and they say up for 40, but I've got a 37 right now. I think in the future, that'll become an RTR product, most likely. And the reason being is I'm considering the RTR is because it replaces the factory brackets, which the Rough Country doesn't. It just solidifies the door and adds some beef to the rigidity of this aluminum housing. So that being said, I'm still happy with it for, especially the cost of it. I really am. I've got a video on that. If you look in the playlist for BroncLanders, there's a video about it, and I talk about it, and I'll talk about the install. I think it made that big of a difference. It really did. That being said, the last thing I have for armor, I'm still running the factory steel bumpers, and I probably will. I don't know that I'll change the front one because I went with a rough country hidden winch setup. Now they say it's made for one of these Broncos. It's actually made for sport, and so there's quite a bit of trimming and cutting that you have to do to make it fit, and some little brackets that you need to make and kind of finesse to make it fit really well. Anyway, I've got a 12,000 pound Badlands wireless wrench in there, and the reason why I run the Apex, this is my 4th on 4 different vehicles, and I wouldn't buy anything else. With my own money, it's never let me down. It's pulled, well, when I had the Gladiator and the trailer were stuck in 4 foot of snow, and I ended up winching them probably almost a quarter of a mile through 4 foot of snow, and it was hard winching because this was the trailer was disconnected from my Gladiator, and I was having to drag it through that 4 foot of snow. It was snow plowing, and that winch never got too hot, and it never stopped. Now, it was probably 0 or 8 at the warmest when I was doing all that winching, but I did it for a 2-day period. And not only did I do that, but I also kept moving the spare tire out, sinking the spare tire out, and trying to winch the Gladiator with that as well. So, guys, if you don't know anything about them, take my word for it. They're worth what you pay for them, I promise. If you want to hear more people about them, Muddy Beard is a hardcore wheeling guy, and he will tell you what he thinks about them too. And so, I'm just saying, I understand name brands and things like that, but if you really want to build your rig the best you can, and the budget's part of it, be smart and buy things that people like me that use the stuff out of them suggest, because I mean, it's 12,000 pound. It's not a 9,500 pound. It's a 12,000. So instead of me cutting my rope down 1, I can do a straight pull. Could I break it down 3 times and minimize the weight? Yeah, but it doesn't need it. This thing doesn't weigh close to 12,000 pounds, even in drag of mud or snow. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so how cool is that? So that's my winch. And then I'll keep even going lower and let you look even lower. It creates no extra ground. Okay? So why wouldn't you do that? You can house a 12,000 pound winch in there hidden and no extra, front buck teeth bumper where your actual winch is. One of the things I can't stand is the winch in this position that sticks out, an extra 1.5 feet. Because now what you did is, if you're a crawler like me, you've now taken away your approach, because your bumper has to stick out 1.5 feet this way because the winch plate has to sit up there. Man, if you know a fabricator or you're a fabricator yourself, I'm telling you, this is the best idea. Plus, what did you buy the modular metal bumper for if you're going to replace it? That doesn't make sense to me. Or that's just me. We'll go over the lights here in a second. That's those are the Heretics. And I went with Heretic because they are absolutely an incredible company. They support us Americans. They support us influencers. They support us off-roaders. And it was just that good. So back to the winch. Let me show you where I put the controls. Look at that. So this is why I said you guys needed a fabricator, because I built all the bracket systems for all of this, okay? And the reason why I did that is because if you can fabricate, it's the smartest way to do it. The prices on the things that are out there are far beyond what they need to be. Most everything I can build for 1/3 of the cost. And so, that being said, if you know a fabricator or you know a good shop that's good to you, hidden winch is the best thing you can do if you don't want the big bucktooth bumper look. Now here's the controls. I just extended the cables, brought it up here, and so now the wireless unit control is all in here, the control for it is all in here, and then across the engine bay, I'll move you right here, I installed the cutoffs. So for those cutoffs, it's super important. So here's the winch, main cutoff. That way, for the rest of the year, you're not driving around, you just have it off. When you're going to wheel, I just turn it on and it throws power to it and it charges. And then the house battery system, here's the disconnect for it. Those are important because you always want to be able to separate any kind of main power draw from your engine if you're having electrical issues. That way you can mitigate what could be changing the systems that are going on now, because those are the systems you added after the fact. So you want to be able to disconnect those and see if you're still having the same issue. If you are, then it's something other than what you've added. So that's a good peace of mind. For performance, we went with the VR tuned box, and it really has been a game changer and an eye-opener for this Bronco. It makes all the difference in the world. Fuel mileage and power, I'll tell you that right now. I haven't used it on 7, I run it on 5 all the time, which is kind of right in the middle, and it's the highest you can run it on 91. Here in Amarillo and in Texas, we can get 93 all the time. Everywhere else I go, I can't get 93. I don't know what's wrong with the states and why they want to offer a lower grade gas, but they do. So I run it on 5, on 91, and it's been really, really good. I can't wait to try it with some 93. I just haven't had a chance because I work so much, and the rest of it, I've been working on building everything for this. What's next? For air intake, we'll swing back over there. I went with the Corsa, and I've been really happy with it. And the reason why I say that is because it's just molded, and everything that Corsa touches is generally really good, and it's been really good. I definitely could see, you can tell throttle response right off the bat when you install it, and that's really made me happy. And then of course in the back there, everybody knows what that is. That's the elephant in the room. That's the ARB twin air. And it's been as good as advertised. I've never been in a position that I needed or wanted to use it, because most of the time I build a custom system on every vehicle. That guy over there, he's got a standalone 5-gallon tank and then 2 twin Viair 8400s that runs on an actuation switch, and it's got air connections in the front and back, and so it's super nice to have. But this is something I wanted it to be, the fit and function to be better. The neat thing about it is what I'm going to show you right here, okay? Let's check this out. Uh-oh, hood's closed. I don't care. That's not where I get air. I get air right here. That's where I get air. Pretty nice, huh? Another neat thing about it is, guess what? The switch is right here. Why do you guys, and why does everybody leave it all on the side of the road to a situation where you guys have to pop the hood, connect inside the battery area, to be heckled? Like, I already hear enough Ford, found on the road dead crap anyway. But that just adds fuel to the fire, because you know how many people I've had before I did this switch come by and say, oh gosh, you broke down? Isn't that a new truck? Do you need help? And I'm like, no, I'm area up. And they're like, oh, okay, I just saw the hood pop. So this is my ingenious little setup. And so right now, I just take my speed plate system and plug it in here, go to all four and hit the pump. And you can see that it's met its pressure, and so it turned off. So I got it back off now. But the neat thing about that is there's no more popping your hood, coming out here, plugging in, doing all this stuff, turning it on, going inside and flipping your switch, or in here, in your hood area, turning your switch on, and then getting done and taking it all back, going and putting it all back up, and then closing your hood. I don't do that. So, and the cool thing about it is, I've also got just a quick connect for blowing things off, and I can just come out here and flip it on and plug it in, and blow everything I know, blow me off, blow whatever else I'm trying to get clean off, my air filter especially. I can do all that right here, and then I'm done. So that was one of the neatest things I did, and I was super appreciative to kind of put that together, because I did at first put it in there and go, wait, I can never get to it without opening the hood. Why the hell would I do that? So this is what I came up with. Let's move on. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about while we're in here. This is a neat little doodad. And this little doodad is called a blow-off valve. And the factory blow-off from Ford is not real big. And the one thing I know about boosted motors is there's no reason to keep compression on the motor if you're not using it. So that's why I wanted a faster blow-off valve, because when you build boost and then come off the pedal real fast, you still have that boost in your system, creating pressure in the motor. Well, the reason why I like these is because it's a larger let off and it's faster. And so when you come off boost, anything you're not using, it's released immediately right here. It doesn't continue through the system and be pressured out. So I felt that was super important. All the cars that I've had in the past that were boosted, this is something that I ran on them, and it's just a peace of mind, okay? You don't want to blow a head gasket because you're wailing on this thing trying to get up an obstacle because you come off boost and there's still 13 pounds built in there. So just keep that in mind. I got it from Sticker Fab, and it was fairly cheap. I want to say around 40 bucks, and it's anodized red. It works. The last thing I want to talk about inside the engine bay are the AIG hood struts, and you can probably see it right here. That made everything super nice. What I didn't like is I was trying to wire all this stuff and build all these brackets in here, and I had the factory crossbar right here, and I was bumping into it constantly, and it was just driving me bananas. So I got rid of it. That's about it. So the last thing is lights, guys. Let's go over the lights. So for all you perceptive guys, you can see that I've had to change shirts. I had a coffee accident, and when I mean coffee accident, I mean coffee accident. Yeah. To the tune of picking up the cup and the lid wasn't on, and when I got it to about here, it all decided to shower me with the coffee shower. So by the time I got home and showered and cleaned up again, I was like, I'll just have to do it tomorrow night. So anyway, jumping back in, let's finish this up. Lights. The only choice for lights, in my opinion, I ran them on the JL. I ran them on the Gladiator in specific areas for obviously what was available, and that wasn't their fault. And then back to the Bronco build. BroncLanders, in my opinion, needed the best, and so the best was for me to go with Heretic Studios in here in America, right there in Salt Lake City, Utah. I can't say enough about their customer service and their dedication to their customers. Big or small, it doesn't matter. These guys are incredible. Nathan, the national sales director, marketing director,
Incredible guy. He knew Hammers was coming up, and he went, like he, in his own words, he said, I moved heaven and earth to be able to get all of this stuff shipped out and complete. Let's go over it. So it's got up front in the fog pockets, it's got 4 amber quattros. Up front, we've got 2 of the 3-inch clear. We've got a 10-inch amber light bar. For ditch lights, we're running another set of the quattros in clear. And then up top, the piece de resistance, the thing that ties it all together, is the 40-inch curved light bar. And I'll bring you guys in close to take a look at these things. The reason why I chose them on top of those things is because the fit and finish is hands down impeccable. You know that a man is milling that thing. There's not a bunch of solo factory machines doing it all. There's actually people that do the process of building your stuff. And so the checks and balances are 10 times above anybody you want to throw out there. Anybody, pick them. I'm telling you, there's a guy that has to sign his name on your stuff, period. So it's not a computer bay, it's not a mill bay, it's not a few guys putting a pigtail on. Literally, these guys have hands on throughout the period of your life's existence before it reaches you. They're building them, and so their name goes on it, and of course, because of that, they want to hold a higher level of respect and efficiency and dedication to what they're doing, and so it shows in their product. Anyway, I said we kill the lights real quick and just give it to you all, right? Let's do it. What do you think, guys? I think that shows it enough, right? How beautiful was that? Of course, we have the Raptor F-150 or F-150 Raptor lights, and there's a reason for that. The next big step to this thing is going to be 6 inches wider in the front, 3 inches wider in the back. So it's going to be required by law. So don't step on my toes yet. Anyway, let's take a look at them real close. I think we'll just give you a look.
couldn't be more proud. What's neat is that badge right there, the Bronco Nation. Proud to be a part of it. I'm gonna try to represent it the best I can. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much. If you made it this far, please consider giving me a hug, hitting that like button. It fools YouTube and tells YouTube what to do and makes all those algorithms go out of the way and say that you want to see Bronco specific content. So hit that like button and it'll start filling your inbox or your front page of YouTube with more Bronco content. So we'd appreciate that. Secondly, it gives me some appreciation, letting me know that I built it right, built it how you'd think we should build it. But then at the end of the day, hit that subscribe button. It's free. I appreciate that too. Other than that, we're getting ready for King of Hammers. I literally leave in about 12 hours. So it's about 15 hours from Amarillo here to Johnson Valley, California. But I'll be out there for the next several days, get to see the Barnett race team and kind of go in their pits and check that out. I get to see a lot of the Bronco Nation guys. I'm gonna check out the Warren VIP stuff. I've got that going on. And so there'll be a lot of cool things. If you want to support me, I've got a Patreon, $1, $5. You can even hit the super chat. You can even jump on this video and add $1 there. I'd appreciate that. Anything you guys do, I appreciate it. Obviously, you know I work long hours and have a full-time job, and so this is what I love doing. It's a hobby, but it also YouTube is something I really enjoy doing and bringing these types of things to you guys. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you would have done different. Tell me what you would have chosen instead of what I chose. Either way, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, guys. I'm out of here.